as we try to bring this debate forward so the American people can understand it and hopefully give their voice of support for what we're trying to do, keep government operating, and keep jobs being created in this country, which is a struggle. We know we're not creating as many as we would like, but one of the programs that's creating thousands of jobs and has broad support in America, and I'm going to read the groups supporting it in just a minute. For some reason, Republican leader in the House, Eric Cantor, decided last week, even as the winds were affecting his district and the Hurricane Irene was challenging the East Coast, a portion of the country that he represents, he decided that we needed to find an offset so that we could send money to his district and to other districts across the country, and just picked this program. They couldn't have picked a worse one, because this program is actually working. It has already demonstrated, it has revitalized communities. But in addition, Mr. President, it's a program that's created jobs that several dozen Republican House members have sent private letters to the Secretary of Energy asking for the money to go back to their districts, but publicly they want to gut the program. So Democrats have decided to bring this to the attention of the American public. How is it that dozens of Republican leaders, and I have those letters that I'm going to submit to the record, how is it that dozens of Republican leaders write private letters, which are public record, but they didn't put them, they don't issue them to the press, they send them to the Secretary. You can get copies of them, I did this morning and have them. But they're private letters to the Secretary asking for this program to loan money to a public-private partnership to create jobs in their district, and then they go home and they talk about their efforts to create jobs, and they come back to Washington and try to gut the program under the guise that they need the money to help disaster victims. That is what this debate is about, and that's why the Democrats are not, at least at this point, and I hope over the weekend and through next week, going to give in to that nonsense and hypocrisy. And I hope the President and the White House will fight hard along with the Democrats, and I hope some of the Republicans that have signed these letters will think twice when this vote comes up again. And I hope the press is reading these letters and asking these Republicans whose signature is on these letters one question. How is it possible that you sent a letter to the Secretary asking for a loan to support job creation in your district, and then at the same time stand on the Senate floor and gut the same program, and then go back home and claim you're helping to create jobs in America? That's what this debate is about, and I am looking forward to having it. The next letter that I'm going to read, and I'm going to do this all week, so I hope the press just gets ready to ask these Republican leaders, how could you possibly have the gall to hold press opportunities in your district, promising people that you're helping them create jobs, and then come back to Washington and cut the rug out from underneath their feet with a bogus excuse that you have to come up with $1 billion when the real need is only 175. I checked with Craig Fugate, very good friend of mine. I'm the chair of his committee. I talk to him all the time. When the real need for FEMA in 2011 is $175 million. But under the guise of having to provide $1 billion, they want to gut this program that's creating jobs, and they themselves have asked for these loans to be made in their district. This is the next letter signed by several members, and I am going to submit their names to the record. This is another letter a little close to home. This is a letter I wrote. I was joined by my colleague, Senator Vitter, Republican from Louisiana, and my Republican counterpart, Rodney Alexander, who represents the district in my state. We sent this letter on December 21st. We are writing to reiterate our strong support for Next Autoworks company loan application under the Department of Energy's Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Program. Next Autoworks resubmitted a revised application in May that was almost immediately declared substantially complete and expeditiously reviewed for technical and financial merit. We appreciate the department's work to move the application through several critical stage gates over the past several months. Next Autoworks has the ability to transform communities in Louisiana by bringing critical economic growth and jobs to our state and region. As you know, the company plans to re-equip a former Guide Corporation plant in Monroe, Louisiana that was shuttered in 2006 and establish a production facility that would approximately create 1,400 direct jobs and an additional 1,800 indirect jobs to Northeast Louisiana. In addition, the project will create thousands of jobs at supply facilities across the U.S. The state of Louisiana and local communities have already demonstrated their commitment by offering this company $82 million in grants, $128 million in employee training services, and an estimated $33.8 million in tax abatements to support the project. This is how strongly our Republican governor and Republican legislature in Louisiana feel about this project, that we've put up state and local money to see if we could attract this loan from the federal government to get this going. They can go without me, yeah. Signed by my colleague, Senator Vitter, and signed by my friend and colleague, Representative Alexander, who represents this district. This is one of our #1 economic development projects in the state of Louisiana. And what did the representative do last night? He voted to gut the program. This is why Gulf Coast Republicans and Republican senators from the Gulf Coast should think not twice, but 3 times before they vote to require an offset. And I'm just saying, I am not going to forget this vote, because I chair this committee. And if you vote to require an offset and another storm hits your state, then it is going to be the responsibility on your shoulders to tell your people, I'm sorry I can't help you until I go to Washington and find an offset. And maybe it will get so ridiculous, and I'm going to call this the Cantor Doctrine, maybe it will get so ridiculous that Eric Cantor will tell all the people in America. There was a cartoon in the newspaper about this. I'm having it blown up because it was really sad, but it's actually funny. There's a woman sitting on top of her roof. Her house is completely flooded, and she's completely flooded, and she's got a phone, and she calls FEMA, and FEMA says, we can't rescue you right now. We're looking for an offset. So maybe the new Cantor Republican model of pick yourself up by your bootstraps and swim away on your own will actually really be put into practice, because I think that's what they want. Because before you can be rescued, before the debris can be removed, you're going to have to sit down at the table with your husband and kids in a broken down house or trailer and suggest some offsets to send to your congressman before we can send you help. That is not right. That's what this debate is about. What the House is doing only funds FEMA. It doesn't give any money to the Corps. It doesn't give any money to community development. It doesn't give any money to the farmers. So if you're sitting out there looking at your farm with your crops ruined, please don't think the House of Representatives is doing one thing to help you, because they're not. So I have given any number of reasons why this is an important debate to have. There is no guarantee that Democrats will win. But every now and then, it's a good thing to stand up for a principle. And I think this is a principle worth standing for and worth fighting for.